Did you ever have an opportunity to be a CEO of a
No.
company, Ryan?
You mean did I just graduate college and then immediately become CEO of a huge tech company that's valuated at God only knows how much and almost got bought by Adobe? No, I did not. I did not.
Yeah. That to me, those are things that I'd like to understand more about. Like, where's the reasoning and logic? Everything I did in my career, I had to explain, reason, bring logic, be linear, be concise, and be clear. This is UX Murder Mystery. I'm Eve Eden.
And I'm Brian Crowley. And Eve, you and I just got back into our respective cities from Config. And so we're gonna talk through our wrap up of what we thought of the conference. But I think maybe let's start off and talk about San Francisco. Was this your first time in San Francisco?
Yeah, technically being in the city, yes. First
Yeah,
time. I love, Northern California. I've been to like Yosemite and parts of like Sacramento and like Lake Tahoe and all of that. It's so pretty. But yeah, first time
yeah,
in the city.
yeah. So my wife and I had taken a trip like 2 or 3 weeks ago to San Francisco for the first time, and then we came back for this. And I what a wonderful city. What a wonderful, beautiful city.
I think so too. It definitely has a different look from, us, being in Chicago for so long, but
Yeah,
it felt familiar with like the food and the coffees and just the variety of people and like the flavors, which I know you and I like really enjoyed,
yeah,
having like a cocktail and just talking to lots of different people coming from, different parts of like, the country or growing up there, which was also cool.
to dive a little deeper into it, it was also interesting um, and I think that this is also kind of something that we'll get into with config was a little bit of the identity crisis of the city, which was also at play in config. So what I mean is like you see like one of the things that I took lots of photos of as I was coming out of the airport was all these billboards, all these companies with AI billboards all over the place.
We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along.
Then the other thing was like we saw like obviously there also is a big arts community and a fairly large homeless population as well, or unhoused,
Yeah,
I guess is what is the phrase.
unhoused, yes.
Housed
Yeah,
folks.
I did feel I saw a lot of people in vehicles, sleeping in vehicles too.
Yeah,
That was definitely from the airport in. Sometimes I like to take the train too. I feel like that's when I get to really see like more people and even like if they're up for it, just to have even conversations about where they're from, how long they've lived there, and yeah, you just see it. You see the homeless population is or unhoused population is prevalent, and there's definitely a struggle. There's a struggle in the city. One thing I noticed too that was like funny when we were having dinner with one of our you know, folks in tech, they mentioned how untechnological the city actually is, regardless of, the boom of tech that's there, but just like the way the restaurants handle billing or, like just all the old school, tech when it comes to even like the electricity in homes being from like the turn of the century. I just thought that was funny too.
that is interesting, right? Because it's like in some ways, San Francisco is it's definitely the hub of like it in like Palo Alto or like the hubs of like Silicon Valley. And for every Waymo that you see running around, which you see a ton, there's like the infrastructure of like the city, wouldn't that be cool if like that was also like invested upon, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think was an obvious is like the city was not being invested into
Yeah,
from an infrastructure standpoint. Like you saw, like here in Nashville, we see Waymos all over as well. So
yeah,
that for me was like, okay, but this city, the city I'm in, is newer. And so it just has a different feel. Whereas like I feel like when things and you see it in Chicago too, but
totally.
Chicago does a really good job kind of controlling like the chaos that could ensue with um buildings, bridges, people, parks, just like the smells, the
Mhm.
smells. It is sights and the sounds, the smells of a major city, and how things can kind of get unruly because of that unruly.
Yeah. So let's shift over to config. What to you, when you think about like the 2 or 3 days that we were there, um, what are your key takeaways that you had?
I think my overall sense is that it's a younger, like configs audience is a young population of UX folks.
Yeah,
We get confused when we talk about our titles. Are you in UX? Are you in product? Are you a designer? Are you multimedia? Are you interactive? I saw that.
yeah,
There needs to be guidance amongst the community, especially as the younger individuals are coming in. I did not see in senior individuals as much as I should. People who've been working in the fields for 10, 15, 20 years,
uh-huh,
that representation is not there, which
yeah,
is extremely weird. Um, and a big miss for if Figma is standing up and saying we are the it product design product, then your audience should reflect um, who's out there working. And so if it's only, wired only like a certain demographic, like 20s, maybe a few early 30s, that's all I saw. And that's like something I thought we should point out. And there should be a survey, I feel like, about that and why, where are people. And that to me is where we see gaps existing within conferences that may reflect enterprise companies, mid-tier companies as well.
yeah. Uh, I also was wondering if some of that had to do with like they created a separate leadership area, and I wonder if that's a miss. I wonder because I did see you sent me a pretty well-known UX person who had gone over to the leadership area and was talking with folks and said what they were all talking about. But if you're not, but I don't know, if you're not mingling with the rest of the folks, if you're keeping yourself just in the leadership area and like with all the speakers and guests and all that, you're missing out on doing the most basic thing of UX, which is like being able to go down to the ground level and like talk to the users and the folks that are a part of the community.
Yeah, I don't understand like those parts of our society where we're dissecting things. There should be open conversations. There was a miss too on addressing the issue of product design.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't appreciate that. These things actually show um, I just don't have as much respect for that, and I will be vocal about it. And I think those are things that kind of crumble a brand as well. Address the issue, be a leader, um, focus on obviously your bottom line, we get it, but stop being so short-sighted. It's really unattractive, and then also makes, I don't know, it just doesn't make for longevity of products. It just seems like our products are temporary, and there's no longevity in branding. It just feels like everything is like at a state of crumble. And maybe it is, but that's how I feel. And I'm not the only one that thinks like that. I think if we say it out loud, people are like, yeah, I like that too. Actually, if you do feel like that, please comment. Because those are things that need to be said. One thing I noticed is a fear of speaking up in our community because of
Yeah.
the companies you work for. What is
Oh,
that? It feels very like I've never heard anyone say, don't talk about this, but it feels like everybody is very hush hush about like what's happening.
I agree, and I love that you pointed out that like there is a lack of on Figma's part as a company of reflecting what was going on in the design community up front. Like we all know that this has all been happening, that we've all been affected by layoffs, and you would think that that would have been you would have thought that in the keynote address that the CEO, you mentioned it, Eve. You were the first you that was one of the first things you brought up, which I loved, which was like you said, why aren't you acknowledging this? Why aren't you acknowledging the decimation of the design community and like what is going on and like the layoffs and just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge that it's happening, right?
It feels I don't, how old is Linfield? Do we know?
I think he's in his 30s. I didn't Google it, but I think he's in his 30s.
Yeah, I feel like also someone being very young and a CEO, that feels really strange.
I believe it's like
Um,
his first job.
what is why 34 years old, born 1992, Brown University, educated. What what is that? Why is that? I don't understand. Um, did you ever have an opportunity to be a CEO of a
No.
company, Ryan?
You mean did I just graduate college and then immediately become CEO of a huge tech company that's valuated at God only knows how much and almost got bought by Adobe? No, I did not. I did not.
Yeah. You know, that to me, those are things that I'd like to understand more about. Like, where's the reasoning and logic? Everything I did in my career, I had to explain, reason, bring logic, be linear, be concise, and be clear.
Yeah.
So if those expectations are like, this is the state of work, and you want us to buy into like what you guys are delivering, I want the same answers. Like,
Did you
why are
notice?
you picking people like that?
Did you notice the? I couldn't help but notice that there. The Can we talk a little bit about the biggest piece I felt, Eve, was this strange identity crisis that was happening at Figma or at Config and Figma, obviously. So, and here's what I mean. Let me extrapolate on that. So, we were getting the keynote was introducing all these new AI tools and pushing AI at the front, at the front, at the front. And yet, at the conference, a whole bunch of the speakers that they had were very, very much against AI. A whole bunch of them that they had as like conference talkers were um, talking about, if not, and I don't want to say against AI, but the themes of their talks were more about being creative and being human and like sketching every day. Or Lauren Hom, who gave an awesome talk that you and I watched, um, where she was talking about doing lettering on Tumblr, and then shifting over to doing lettering on sandwich board, and then shifting over to doing murals. And
Yeah.
she was very, it was very much like hands by hand um, and not following a same pattern over and over again. It was purposefully choosing to challenge herself over and over again, which I thought was very interesting. And then there was another guy, Bo Wingfeld, I think is his name. Yeah, I wrote it down. Who was talking about he did the skate game, and he was talking about adding grit and texture to break the grid and like to like add some elements. Again, much more human, not the same type of formatted stuff. And I couldn't help but think that like that seemed to be a repeated pattern at Config was like AI being pushed by Figma and some of the tech companies, but the individuals and the people that were there and the speakers and even the clothes that I was like, I don't know about all these clothes, but even the clothes were not uh pro AI, pro bot type of stuff.
Yeah, I think that it was we're like at a threshold of like new and old, and people working in the industry for a while, which was being represented on stage, were showing their history, right? Like this was like where they came from, and it has nothing to do with this kind of decimation of war, the new normal. We talk about new normal when it came to new 2008. What do we
Yeah,
call this?
yeah.
The new abnormal? Um, anyway, but yeah, I was kind of reading up on Dylan too. So it looks like really what it was is he received a fellowship of $100,000 for young entrepreneurs. So Peter Thiel um, invested in a small um, group of students that would basically drop out of college for 2 years
Uh-huh.
to focus on their entrepreneur ideas as a startup. So that's where he kind of came from.
So
And I think that's where he took off.
Peter Thiel has his tentacles into Figma as well. That's awesome.
I don't know if that's the connection. I'd have to do a little bit more reading on how he was.
I'm just saying he had influence in funding Dylan.
Yes, he was awarded a grant to entrepreneurs by Peter Thiel on the
Yeah,
condition that they would drop out of college for at least 2 years um, while focusing on their ideas as a startup.
yeah. I don't love that. I don't love that the biggest surveillance company in the world, Palantir, has the CEO having its tentacle even slightly wrapped into the biggest design tool, uh, the biggest current design tool used by folks. It's not a great. That's not great. But how strange.
Yeah, it looks like the summer of 2012, Field co-founded Figma with Evan Wallace, who joined Field in California after completing their computer science degree. So also Field focused on computer science while he was in school. So
Okay.
that's just like another kind of piece of the puzzle. So I guess those are co-founders, Wallace and Field.
Could I mention that, you and I, going on to a different topic for a moment, I don't think you and I saw this. I know that I didn't see this there, but I guess I would have loved to have seen it. I guess the Boston Dynamics robots were there. Um, I have no idea where because we didn't see them, and I wasn't aware of it. It's kind of one of those things with conferences where you cannot be everywhere at once and you have to like really, really create a schedule. Which, as in a quick aside, man, this was there is I'm the config people and the staff were wonderful. The design
Oh
of
yeah, they're amazing.
they were amazing. The design of the conference left a lot to be desired in terms of making it easy to navigate and easy to like figure out where stuff was and what was going on. And I found that super difficult. I found using their website and figuring out what the agenda was, where things were, and what was happening to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I think the UX part of what we're focused on,
Yeah.
we saw a gap. That's I think the point. And
And what I'm
I
saying
don't
is,
I don't know why.
and what I'm saying is the UX of the conference itself was also missing as well
Right, the gaps
of
there.
like being able to even navigate and know where the conference was, or being able to like, I've gone to conferences before, to comic book conventions before, where they have a thing where they have their schedule and you can pick which panels you want to go to, and then it creates a schedule for you for the day. Like, that would have been a very basic thing to introduce, to say, oh, this is happening at this time, this is happening at this time, and then you know what your schedule is. And they didn't even have that.
Yeah. I've been at the Nielsen Norman Group conference, and that conference, from coffee breaks, bathroom breaks, how long someone's attention span can keep going,
Yeah.
was all very calculated and perfected. I mean, you knew someone UX that conference, right? They
Mhm.
made it where it just felt like you were always engaged.
Yeah.
If you were sitting down, you realized you were sitting down, that you got up. Like, they knew, like, from a timing perspective, the scheduling of an attention span, psychologically, getting you like coffee, or having you go to the bathroom, or getting you up to look at something on the wall. It was it was done extremely well. And I think that that's like a note from the book that people should take.
Yeah, I would say the other example of good conferences is I went to a UX DX conference that was really well designed, and I went to a Rosenfeld Media conference that was really, really well designed too. And I would say, Eve, to like your point, it would be really nice for them to like figure that out. I felt, this is my own thing, I felt like the center road where they had everything was way too congested, and it was very hard to make it through those areas, and they had like all of these activities, and it was like very kind of cramped, and not I didn't find it enjoyable to navigate. um, so I thought that was a little bit of a miss on their part. um, and
Yeah.
so from a recording standpoint, for us for the show, we recorded twice, and part of it was because of the noise. It was so loud, and there were so many speakers and events and things going on, where like the audio was just, I mean, very, very difficult to, you know, to do.
Yeah, I think in general, I met a lot of great people that were excited to be there and excited to talk to us. I
Mhm.
think also striking up conversations. Um, People were so happy that somebody started talking to them. And so I think that is something, if like Figma would take note of, is just bringing people who, from like an introverted, extroverted standpoint. Maybe most people coming to this conference are a little bit on the shyer side, or striking up conversation. So bringing, just like you had speakers that would clap when the CEO stopped talking, and then the clapping would begin. Okay. So you put those people in to, engage the audience, put those people into the lunchtime routine, have them bring up conversations of topics, have people network, have people start to, do human things that we used to do, and now being on our phone has like really taken away that natural interaction of, oh, I noticed this, I did this, I instead of not going to say anything because I don't know if this person really wants to talk to me. You know what I mean? There's just like some of that thoughtful audience participation in applause should also be thoughtful in, bringing people to create conversations that can better our industry, right? Like I see Figma as a company to respect by encouraging people's growth, their social like engagement with others, their networking. There needs to be more responsibility on our society and how we're growing as individuals, not just how to make more money. We can Money can be made. Abundance is like you see it. It's like Earth is obviously showing us that. And so then fill up the humans that exist here to be more abundant so that your company can be more abundant. You see, like that's like where that symbiotic relationship of company and individuals, right? There was like a huge respect for working at companies for long periods of time and kind of dedicating your life to like making this company, good and run properly. I want that back.
Yeah.
If no one else is going to fill that gap, then I'm going to do it. How about that? We'll just put that in the recording. That needs to be a part of our DNA, instead of whatever's happening, which I think you pointed out several times during our stay,
Mhm.
which is there's a certain type of personality in San Francisco or in these tech companies that are maybe making things, more convenient for them because of the lack of, let's say, being social or being brave, or yeah, I don't know, but I don't. That's fine, but that's not the only way to be interacting with robots, interacting with social media only, not talking to people when you're in, sitting down there eating lunch together. There's like 10 people. How do you just ignore everyone? That's not normal. Okay. Those are things that I think we need to cultivate more warmth
Yeah.
and less of this cold bullshit that we're being scooped, ice cream scoops of. I'm not eating that.
That when a couple of years ago, I think it was when I was working at Allstate. I think it was either one of I think it may have been our design leader, or it may have been a conference that I went to where they used speed dating as an example of like to network. So they did like basically like a round robin type of thing, and it would be a timer, but it would be a thing. It worked as a good icebreaker because I think a lot of us are introverted that are work in design. I think a lot of us we part of the reason that we may have started to do design was because we wanted to be able to go sit in a machine, sell the machine, design and being creativity, right? Like in some ways, some of us. And so the speed dating thing was great because then it was just like a quick way to like meet everybody and like talk to everybody and like do like little icebreakers and stuff. And I really wish, to your point, Eve, it could that is an opportunity for them for next year, for them to think about like how do we do a better job of ice breaking when we know we have a fairly large percentage of introverted people so that we can make it so it's easier for people to like interact and chat. The stamps, they had these stamp passport things. And wouldn't it have been great if instead of going to a vendor, it had been like you need to scan the QR codes of like 9 people to like and to fill in your stamp, right? And
Great
wouldn't it have
idea.
been
Great
great if
idea.
they had done that to the leaders too? If they had told the leaders, you, the leaders can't get leader stamps. You need to uh, go get stamps from other people that are not on this floor. Go.
Exactly. That to me, that like rules of engagement. Beautiful.
Like, diversify who you're talking to. The fact that I think the fact that they made a leaders area, and I think the fact that UX has gone into this thing where we create these leader groups, these leader Slack channels, and we exclude other people from those spaces. It's a very bad idea.
Yeah, I think otherwise, I would say it was a it was a pleasant time. The weather was
Yeah.
perfect. I think even like we said, the staff there was very friendly,
Oh,
very
great.
generous.
So great.
I mean, it was just incredible. And yeah, and then just the people we interacted with were
Yeah.
so happy to
Oh,
talk,
yeah.
discuss, and even just tell you what's been going on in their workplace currently. Just really friendly, bright, hopeful faces and people. So I enjoyed the people as
And
usual.
a lot of really nice vendors there too. There were people that like were from Google, and there were people from Div Riots,
Oh yeah,
and from what was there was another
ditto.
Ditto and Marvin, like all like a whole bunch of people that were like super, super nice to chat with.
I'm glad we went and we had we have a few recordings out on the YouTube channel and on LinkedIn, but please subscribe and comment. Even send us questions or even topic ideas if you feel like you want to also be on our podcast. You can definitely send us an email at questions@uxmurdermystery.com.
And Eve, we should also ask people, did you go to config? What did you think about config? And tell us what you thought, how you felt about it. What panels did we miss that we should have seen, perhaps? Like, you know, let us know.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks so much. We'll see you again next week. Like, subscribe, and follow, or become our next victim of bad UX.
UX Murder Mystery is a joint production of Eve, User Experience Design Agency, and Crowley UX, where systems meet stories. It's hosted by Brian J. Crowley and Eve Eden. Edited by Kelsey Smith. Intro animation and logo design by Brian J. Crowley. The music is by Nicholas Lee. You can follow us at UX Murder Mystery. You can email us at questions@uxmurdermystery.com. UX Murder Mystery is a copyright 2025, Brian J. Crowley and Eve Eden. Thanks for listening.